This is the Unscripted Sports Taste podcast. Today we got a good slate for you. Obviously, one of the biggest talks in sports right now, or in NFL, is the combine. So we got a little bit topics about that, and then I kind of want to talk about the 12-team playoff, and then go into our NBA talk as well. Let's just get right into it. And you can go first on this, Brett. Best NFL combine appearances ever. I can kind of guess what yours is going to be just from who you like and stuff, but go ahead.
Um, Honestly, I don't really pay much attention to combine. I just like seeing all the faces from the 40-yard dash.
Right.
I feel like an all-time moment is Chris Jones.
Oh, yeah, that's a great moment right there.
Yeah. Um, but I think last year Anthony Richardson
Yeah, he had a
just
really good
went
combine.
insane. Um,
You know,
I want to say,
I'm also like what I was talking about because of who you like. I was saying, DK Metcalf,
yeah,
went crazy that one year. I don't even when he got drafted. I mean, I think he's like
yeah,
45 or something. But uh, he ran like
yeah,
a 4.33 and jumped a 40 yard or
yeah,
40-inch vert. That is insane for his size. And he's like 230
and
pounds. Crazy. So
yeah, and now he doesn't use it, so
yeah,
it's great.
the Seahawks got to learn how to get him the ball more and maybe
Or if he
him
would
not
just stop
try to hurt people.
fighting random DBs.
Right.
Yeah, if he just didn't try to punch it like a third string DB every single play,
And also on
maybe.
mine, I put Julio Jones had a really good combine when he was coming
Yeah,
up. He ran a 4.34, which is like point tenths of a second less than DK Metcalf, and Julio Jones is 6'6" almost. So he jumped to 38 and a half vertical. His broad was 10.6. Um, these players that are coming up that are 250 pounds that run a 4.4. It's making 4.3 not sound good for a wide receiver, which is insane. Because I mean, we were looking at Instagram yesterday, and five people that were 250 pounds or more were running a 4.4, which is insane. It's just making it insane. Um, all right, going to the next one. Who needs a great combine to raise draft stock this year? Um, for me, I know you probably watch this on Instagram. He was all over Instagram because he was going crazy. Braden Fisk out of Florida State, D lineman out of Florida State. He's kind of smaller. He's like 295 pounds, 6'3". He played at Western Michigan, and then one outstanding year at FSU. This kid put on a show yesterday, and in showing why he could be picked in the first 2 rounds, he ran a four. He's 290 pounds, and he ran a 4.7. Um, he ran his L drill, or he ran his drills were perfect, like beautiful footwork, and he's really fast. He just might be a little undersized, but he is insanely athletic. So um, he could be really good. Um, and then I put Peyton Wilson as well, North Carolina, Florida State, or North Carolina State. Oh my gosh, linebacker. He had a great 40 time yesterday. He was one of those guys that he was 250 pounds and he ran a 4.44. So um, there's many, and then I was kind of watching his. I kind of kept up with him because he's one of the best linebackers in the country. He showed great effort all year and just has a knack to getting the ball. So if he keeps showing that he can run fast and make plays, he's going to be maybe the first round, the second round. And then my final
Yeah,
one, I put Dom Pooney, lineman out of Kansas. I put him on here because he's one of my boys. He actually played it with me at Central Missouri, um, and he transferred to Kansas because he was a straight dog. Like he's really good.
yeah,
Very athletic and mobile big man at 320. And I mean he used to be 280 here, but now he's 320 at Kansas, and he's still as fast as he was. Um, he he's probably gonna go in the second round. Is kind of what he's slated at right now. But he had, I don't know if he ran yesterday. I didn't really look at the stats, but he's there, and I mean he's getting better and better every year, and I think he can go in the top 2 rounds. So, um, what about you? Anyone
yeah.
particular?
Honestly, I think Caleb Williams.
Mm-hmm.
there's been a lot of doubts about him recently.
Right.
And I think he's got to show out. But I mean, he probably won't participate. Who knows? Because he's expected to be top 2 pick.
Right.
Um, I did see Cooper DeJean, the Iowa cornerback. He's not participating.
Uh-huh.
He's just doing meetings. So I think that's gonna be interesting.
Right. And
Seeing how that works out
a
for him.
lot of these
'Cause,
players I thought Drake May could have a great combine, but a lot of them aren't even
yeah,
participating. You know, a lot of the
yeah.
first round picks. So, um,
But
I mean, and it also depends on if they have a good interview too. So Cooper, if he has a good interview,
yeah,
he could go have a
yeah. That's
great,
what Will Compton tweeted.
right.
He's like, respect it. Don't like try not to show any whiteness. Just show up to the meetings,
Right.
knock people's socks off.
Right. I mean, I think he would be have a great combine, but you know, because
Yeah,
he is super athletic. Um,
yeah.
but I understand what Will is coming from. Um,
Yeah.
all right. Going into college football here. Do you like the idea of the larger 12 team playoff, Brett? Do you like the I
Um,
mean, let's do it from a sports fan point of view, and then because obviously that's gonna have a different point of view, and then like a I don't know player point of view, like if you like the 12
yeah.
teams being
So from like a fan point of view, of course, like it's
right,
gonna be more like the stakes are higher, so it'll be players will probably be playing a little more
right,
physical each week. Um, but from like a player point of view, it doesn't. I don't think it makes a whole lot of sense
yeah,
because you have to take out at least like 2 more weeks of like non-conference.
yeah,
Um, and for like small schools, that's gonna that's gonna affect smaller schools first
mm-hmm,
or more, just because they won't have that chance to play the bigger schools.
right,
Like when Missouri State plays Oklahoma,
yeah,
like we get paid 500K just to play that game. So
right. You know, I kind of like the idea. I mean, from a sports fan, I love the idea because obviously it's gonna
yeah,
find who the actual best team is. It's not gonna be like conference champions versus conference champions. Um, but also like from the player point of view, you're gonna play all these teams that you already beat. Um,
yeah,
so like Michigan last year beat Ohio State, they'd probably play them again. You know,
yeah,
play them 3 times in a season, which is insane. Um, and like LSU play Georgia multiple times if they play in the conference championship, and then uh, obviously Utah and Oregon and all these teams that could be in the top 12 will have to play twice. So it's kind
yeah,
of redundant, and I mean it's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be awesome from a fan
yeah.
point of view. I'm excited. It's actually gonna find who the best team is, and not who the best. You know, I do think that we are finding the best team, but it's gonna be more interesting to play them a second time or a third time, because
Yeah.
it's hard to beat a good team twice. So
Mhm.
that's where it's gonna be different. Um, and you know, from my perspective as a player, um, I don't necessarily would like it, but I love playing good
Yeah.
teams as a player. So I mean that would make me want to play. Um, but it is gonna take
But it'd
it
definitely be more taxing.
right. That's what I was about to say. It is gonna take what is 12 teams. It's gonna be like 4 games at least, 3 or 4 games,
Yeah.
um, with a bye or something. But you know it's gonna be a long playoffs. It's gonna be long.
Yeah.
And I think it's every week, so it's you're gonna play 3 good teams every single week, um, which also shows that at the end who the best team is, obviously. So
Yeah.
um, who more physical team is, who the more injury cannot get injured team. I don't even know how to say that. So let's go right into our top 12 teams in next year's college football playoff. Way too early. Top 12 teams in next year's college football playoff. I'll go first. Um, And mine's kind of mixed up because I was thinking top 12 teams instead of top 12 college football teams, so I had to change it around a little bit. Um, and this is kind of the seeding that I came up with. I'll start at 12. Florida State at 12. I know that they lost their quarterback, lost a lot of players to the draft because they were a good team before their quarterback got hurt and they got taken out. They were probably going to make the national championship. Uh, and then I have 11 up, or 11 is Penn State. They're down there because they're a great team every year. They just play Ohio State and Michigan. This is kind of what I was talking about, the Big Ten. If this big playoff, these teams are going to play like 3 times. Because Penn State's a great team. They have Drew Aller. He was okay last year, but I think he's going to make a big step and maybe even beat Michigan while they lose their quarterback and their running back. So they might even be higher. And then Tennessee, they have a great quarterback. I put them at 10. Wow, I put them at 10. And then Mizzou, I put at 9 because they had a good year last year, and I didn't think they lost very many people. And obviously, our buddies that listen to this podcast are gonna go crazy about that. Top 10 Mizzou, but LSU, I have at 8. Um, Obviously, they're at 8 because they play Georgia and Alabama. And one thing you'll see about my list is Alabama is not on the top 10 or top 12. I think Alabama's going to take a down year.
Really?
I think they're going to go 50-50, straight up, lose 50% of their games.
Uh,
And then Oklahoma, I have at 7. I think they'll be pretty good again. Obviously, in a week, I think they might be going to the SEC next year. I can't remember. Maybe.
I think so.
So now that these conferences are realigning, it's going to be insane. They're going to play a bunch of different teams. Um, so these people Oklahoma might not even be in there, even though they're one of the best teams, just from the conference realignment. And then Utah, I put at 6. They're good every year, and they're playing they're going to be moving to a different conference, but I mean it's Utah, and they have a great coach and they have a great staff. And then at 5, I have Oregon. I think they're going to the Big Ten. I can't remember.
Yeah, I think
It's
so.
it's
I
kind of
think they're going
confusing.
Big Ten.
It's kind of confusing because they're in Oregon and they're playing in the Big Ten. But um, I think Oregon last year was um, you know, better than Oklahoma or Ohio State. Um, so I think they're going to be one of the top teams in that conference and be top 5. And then I have at 4 I put Michigan. I don't know how good they're going to be because they lost their quarterback and everything, and
Yeah.
their running back. But I'm sure they'll be just fine. I mean, they just won the national championship and they lost their coach, which might be a problem, but I think they'll be just fine, especially in that Big Ten. They're pretty good at it. And then at 3, I put Ohio State because Michigan is kind of have a down year. They lost a bunch of people. I put Ohio State finally taking back that conference, winning the conference, going to, almost undefeated. I think they lose at least one game, maybe Penn State or something like that. And then at 2, I put Texas. Um, Probably the best team in this playoff, talent-wise, at 2, and then
Yeah.
at 1, I put Georgia. I mean, they had a great transfer class and got Travis Etienne, one of my Florida guys. So I think, and then so the Georgia's for sure the best team right now. So go ahead with yours, whatever you think.
So I'll
Top 10.
go. I'll go one first.
Okay,
I think Georgia.
right?
Um, it's Georgia. Like the fact that I don't know. It's. I mean, the fact that they didn't make the playoffs last year is so
Yeah,
stupid. Um, then 2, I'd probably go. Probably. It's tough, man.
I know that a
I'd
lot of
probably go
great teams.
Texas at 2. Um, yeah,
See,
I think Texas offensively was really strong, and if they put Arch Manning in charge of the offense, it's gonna be. I think he's special, man. Um, he's got that Manning blood flowing through his veins.
right.
Um, 3, I'd probably go. I'd probably go Ohio State. Um, obviously, they lost 2 games this year, but I think they're on the come up too. 4, I would go. Um, probably go with. Michigan. Um, I feel like coming coming off the national championship, they're gonna have plenty of guys like recruiting wise. They're gonna have no problem getting great players. The only issue might be coaching.
Right.
Uh, what that was my four, so five. I might put Florida State at five.
Okay.
I don't know. ACC's a little weak, so I think they'll have no problem like standing out. Uh, six, probably LSU. Um, I liked what LSU showed us this year or this
Okay.
past year. So seven, I could see Penn State making a jump this year. Um, like you said, Drew Lar, he so this year he didn't play like out of his mind,
Right.
but I think he made a big jump from how he played the year before. Um, and then eight, I might go Oklahoma at eight. Um, I think I feel like they've been pretty down
Right.
past few years.
They have been for sure.
Um, so I think they're starting to get their stuff together. They're gonna make a jump. Then I'll put Mizzou at nine. Um, I like Mizzou. The only question is their running back position
Yep.
because I think Cody Schrader's
I think they
entering
kind of
the
got
draft.
carried by Cody Schrader last year too. Sure.
Yeah,
So.
that's like the only thing. But I mean, Mizzou would have probably made the college playoffs if they didn't lose to LSU
Yep.
early on. Um, and then 10, I might put Oregon at 10. The only thing is with Bo Nix leaving, I don't know like what are they gonna do at the quarterback position?
Yep. I know they just
Um,
got someone. They just got Dylan Gabriel. I know that's who they got from
oh,
the
okay.
transfer portal. So
Um,
I mean, depends on how good he plays, really.
yeah, I forgot about that actually. Um, and then 11, I'll go with I'll go with Tennessee at 11. Um, I think they're they're just like a fun team to root for.
Right.
So I mean, why not?
They're one of those
And
teams
then
that
I'll
they're one
probably
of those teams that can beat a lot of the good SEC teams. I would
yeah.
yeah. So
Um, then 12, I'll put Bama at 12. They got the Washington coach, so I'm sure their offense is going to be like firing on all cylinders.
yep.
Um, I think Bama will be a really fun team to watch
Right.
next year. So
Uh, I'm kind
we'll
of
see.
worried about them. I know that I was kind of thinking when I made the list about not putting Bama in. I was kind of thinking about like Duke. They lost Coach K and they went
Yeah,
down for a year and then they went back up. Um, that's kind of what I was thinking. To get his players for that coach to get his players in.
yeah.
Kind of my thought process behind that. But who is your pick to win all next year? I know that a lot of moving parts, a lot of conference changing, and then a lot of player changing because now college football is free agent city. Um,
Yeah,
so who is your pick to win it all next year?
I got Georgia. I
Okay.
mean, like, if we look at the playoffs this year, it was Michigan. They're losing
Right.
like a couple of their best guys, and they lost their coach. Washington is going to lose their two best guys
And a
with
coach.
Michael Penix and Odunze, yeah, and their coach. Texas, I mean, only like as far as I know, they're just the biggest piece they're losing is Quinn Ewers.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I don't know if I kind of forgot if he's coming back or not.
oh,
He might be, but I hope I,
yeah,
I hope they play Arch Manning, but they probably won't.
yeah,
But
they definitely should though.
yeah,
Come on.
yep,
Um, and you have Georgia. Georgia's like, yeah, they're losing people, but they're probably like they're the most popular destination for like the top recruits right now.
Right.
So like they're not gonna have any problem getting the best players. So
Yeah.
I think that's why Georgia's
Yeah.
gotta
It's kind
gotta
of hard to pick right now for me, but obviously my initial pick was like immediately it was Texas. Even if they have Quinn Ewers, I think they'll be, obviously they were top four last year. Even with Quinn Ewers, they were one touchdown away from going to the national championship. And with all these down years, with all these other teams like Michigan and Oklahoma, all these good teams, usually good teams that are kind of down from this year, it's kind of up in the air. I think that Texas is my pick. Obviously, Georgia's the team to beat with Travis Etienne and Carson. I mean, Carson Beck, but he plays the offense pretty good. And then the defense is always really good. So I was kind of picking Texas because I'm kind of the underdog lover. Like I love when underdogs win and picking the underdog. Um, so you know, if let's just say Quinn Ewers gets benched and Manning gets in, I think they have a serious chance. I know a serious chance to win it all and beat Georgia. And that passing offense is going to be really good. Even with Quinn Ewers, I think they have a serious chance to win it all. We'll just see. I know Texas, from what I was watching the playoff, they don't have a very deep team. And now with the 12-team playoff, you have to have a deep team. Like your team has to be
yeah.
so deep. So, um, all right. Uh, let's go into the NBA talk, and I'll let you go first since you're the NBA connoisseur. Are the Mavs serious contenders? We'll just start with this. Are the Mavs serious contenders right now? I know that they have been playing well the last 10 games. Are they a serious contender with their team that they have right now?
Yes. I think the West is up in the air. Um, and with how the Mavs have been playing, they're finding their stride. Um, I saw one thing is up until All Star break, they were the most injured team in the league.
Right.
And they had 20 different starting lineups. But after trade deadline, after All Star, they they're finding their glue. They got some pieces that helps them kind of make a step towards being a series contender. And I think Luka's playing at MVP level. Um, so I think, and him and Kyrie have been
Yeah.
gelling really well.
Yeah, they've been
I
playing
think
good.
they're a series contender.
For mine, I put no, but they are serious contenders for their conference finals. I think, and they have a chance to go to the finals. Um, but right now, I'm just kind of worried. But you kind of said it; they were kind of injured, so I'm kind of worried that they will get injured when they get. It's a long season. Um, not quite enough defensive pieces to make a title run. They have Kyrie and Lucas, so that kind of makes sense. But I and then the second question is Luka your pick for MVP right now? I know that you said he's playing at MVP level. Um, I would put him at.
Um,
I would put him. He's. I don't know if he's my pick right now, but go ahead with yours.
no, he's not my pick right now. I don't think.
Who's your top three for MVP right now in the NBA?
So I got Shea at one.
Okay.
Um, Jokic two. Um, and I'll put Tatum and Doncic tied for third.
Okay. Okay.
Um,
And we kind of agree on this. I put SGA at one. 31.2 points a game, and he has the most 31 points game, 31 plus point games this season. He's just when you're talking about MVP, you talk about consistency, and he is very consistent.
yeah,
You can just look up his stats, and it's 31, 31, 36, 32. It's very consistent with his points scored.
And he's #1 in steals right now.
Yeah, and he plays great defense. At 2, I put Luka. He's having a phenomenal year. I don't know from a defensive perspective if he is an MVP. I know that adding the defense into an MVP is kind of weird, but I always like from a team perspective. Obviously, he's going to carry the team offensively, but he also has to help the team defensively. SGA is doing that, even if his stats are a
Yeah.
little bit lower. Obviously, he plays on a well-rounded team. That's why the Thunder is a true contender. And then
Yeah.
at 3, I put Nikola Jokic. He might right now. He's the #1 on the actual Kia MVP ladder, um,
Yeah.
because he's the best in the league, and he's just gonna win it. He's probably gonna win it again because he's just so good, and he doesn't have to try to be good. Um, that's what sucks because SGA and Luka are going crazy, and Nikola is just having a normal year, and it's an MVP year again. So,
Yeah.
he's been the best player in the last 3 to 4 years. We'll see if they do a Giannis to him and just give it to someone else instead. But
Yeah.
I mean, he's just so good. He's having one of the best runs I've ever seen following the NBA. So, um, finally, I know this is kind of an obvious one, but um, I want to hear your kind of thoughts behind it. Kind of this award talk. We're going to go into the Rookie of the Year. I know that Victor just played Chet. Um, and Chet had like 23 points, and Victor had like 33 and 10 rebounds or something crazy.
Yeah.
And he was just pulling threes and stuff. So who do you think is the Rookie of the Year, and what Chet needs to do to maybe steal the reins back?
I think it should be Chet.
Okay.
Um, he's just been playing way more efficiently.
Right.
Um, Wemby. So the advantage Wemby has is that
Yeah.
he's able to take stupid shots.
Yeah.
Um, but because if you look at their numbers side by side, they're even, but Chet's doing it at a much more efficient clip.
Mhm.
Um, so I think it should be Chet, but I know it's the actual Rookie of the Year is going to be Wemby because he's the most hyped
Right.
generational talent we've seen since LeBron.
Yeah. And Rookie of the Year is more of like a stat thing. It's not MVP. Like you can
Yeah,
make a case off of who most valuable. The Rookie of the Year is all if he played better than the other person, stat wise, which kind of sucks. Because Chet, I obviously Victor's gonna win it. Um,
yeah,
but Chet, like you said, he's playing on a better team. Like you can't have the ball 90% of the time and jack shit up, like Victor can. Um, obviously Victor's not jacking stuff up. He shoots decently from 3, but Chet can Chet has to play the offense. SGA is the top scorer. Victor doesn't have that. Victor doesn't have a 31 point scorer on his team, so he can do that. Um,
yeah,
so Chet has to play a little bit more of a role of a number 2 or number 3 on his team, and he's still averaging 17 points at a very efficient clip. Shooting great shots. Now we talk about that. That's why Victor is going to win it because his team is a lot worse. So
yeah,
that kind of helps him from a Rookie of the Year perspective. Maybe not from a legacy perspective because Chet played one season. And he's probably going to make the finals or make the conference finals. Um, so I mean that team is just really good. The Thunder is really good. So that's what sucks about the Rookie of the Year. It's based on stats, but I think Chet could win it to take it back if he gets a bigger role. Obviously, SGA's
yeah,
going to probably be top 3 or win the MVP. So that's going to be impossible because of the ball. It can only be in one person's hands at one time. So that's kind of my thoughts on that. All right, I think that's it. All right, so that's going to wrap up this week's Unscripted Sports Takes podcast. Um, go follow the Twitter or the X, sorry, Go follow the X and at Unscripted Takes, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
See you guys.